Welcome back. And the next step is now we want to weld or bolt the whole frame to these five members, to these beams here you're seeing on top of this circular hollow section. So to do that, we'll zoom close. I'll come to navigate, and I want to rotate that. So I want to rotate it into a position that will be able to see the four corners: 1, 2, 3, 4. So I want to create a plate here. This plate will provide a surface for bolting these vertical members that range from this end to that side. Now let me zoom close and come to steel, then come to plate there and pick on plate. Then I'll snap on that end and snap on that end and move all the way to the bottom end here and snap right there. And I'm trying to create plates using polygon approach or polygon method. So if I right click and terminate that command, you'll be able to see, if I press Ctrl R, I'll be able to pick my rotation point. You can see this plate is actually clashing with this member. So if I double click further on this plate, you can see this plate is 8 millimeter. So since it is 8 millimeter, we want this member to lie right on the surface of this plate so that a bolt connection will be created there. So what do I do? I'm going to check the measurement here, or you don't even to check the measurement. Just double click in here. You can see the thickness is 5 millimeter. So the plate itself is 8 millimeters. So that is a simple math. We have to offset this whole thing to be on the surface of this plate. We have to offset it by 12 millimeters. So what do we do? I'm going to select everything here. I'm going to come to view, and I'll be able to rotate this. So if I rotate this into this position right here and double click in here, and I'll be able to see I have to change this angle to 180 and change this to 0. And if I click modify, I'll be able to have a look here. I'll be able to select the surface only and deselect the parts I don't want to include there. So I'll come to navigate and select my rotation point there, and I'll be able to select that member. Right click, and now let me isolate the plate from my selection. So I'll select the plate here to deselect it. So I'll right click and come to a special move here and pick on linear. So I want to move on the x-axis but in the opposite direction. So I'll change everything to 0 except on the x-axis, where I'll feed 12 millimeter, negative 12 millimeter, because we're moving in the opposite direction of x. You can see XYZ here. So if I come here and click move, I'll be able to take the whole thing to the surface of this particular plate. You can see that. You can see that is lying right on the surface, like that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create the points that will help me place the bolts or create boltings or create a bolt connection between this member and this member, and take into account that this plate hasn't been welded yet to this beam, and that one we'll do later on. Let's first of all create the bolt connection. So to create the bolt connection here, I'm going to first of all locate some points that will help me place the bolts. I'll come to points and then come to points right there. Come to any point right there and pick on that position and try and locate and transfer that point here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come back to points once again and pick the midpoint. I want to locate a midpoint between that point and any point right there. So I want to transfer this point here to any part to part of this member. What I'm going to do, I'm going to come to points, then come to any point option, then I'll snap on that spot and transfer that point right there. So once I've transferred that point there, I'll come to online points, then I'll get the midpoint between this point and any point that will lie at right angle here. There we are. And I'll click apply and give it an OK. So I want to get the midpoint between these 2 points here. What am I going to do? I'm going to come back to online option here under points and pick that point right there, and I get the midpoint. Then I get a midpoint here, then I get a midpoint right there. So these are just the bolts location that I want to place here. So I have bolts. I have 1, 2. So I can go ahead and add another point, or add another point there, or add another point. So I don't need so many points or so many bolts there. Let me just remain with the 3. Let me just remain with these 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, to place the bolts, what I'm going to do, I'm going to just come to steel and then come to bolt, then pick the plate and this one. Then I'll press my XYZ, press my space bar and snap on that spot and this spot here. So you can see I have my bolts in place. So a reason why I have only one is because I haven't defined the distances and the number of bolts I want. So let me first of all confirm the distance here. I'll come to edit and come to measure, and I want to confirm the distance from here to here. That is 50.8. So if I double click on this bolt and come here and come to bolt section here, and I can see the length is 100. The length of the bolt is 100, and the extra length is that. So on the bolt axis X, I can add 2 at 50.80. So if I click OK, I'll be able to see that. I can go ahead and add, make them 3, and if I go ahead and click, I'll be able to have. Let me just undo that. Undo that, undo that. So if I double click there, if I try to add there 1, that will be 2 bolts in one position. Let me just undo that. So in here I have 2 times, let me just type 2 times 50.80 right there. So if I click on that, I'll be able to have my bolts in place. So let me just remove 3 and give 2 there. So I have 3 bolts in place right there. So that's how you maneuver your ways or create a bolt connection right there. So if I redraw, I'll be able to have my bolts in place. So I want to weld this plate to the other end. And what do? I'll come to applications and command and just type weld there, weld, and I'll look for a welding connection, and I want to weld this to this. I'll give it some time to create a weld connection, and a weld connection has been created, and I'll right click and redraw to remove that symbol. So I want to copy this to the other end. So I'll right click and come to copy, and I'll pick it from this point here and take it right there. I have been blocked and I can't see clearly. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a different snapping point. So I'll snap on that spot, go ahead and snap on this spot here, and remember I'll carry along the bolts. The bolts are not coming up with me. Bolts are not coming up with me, and I'll go ahead and redo them. So you can see what's going on here. You can see this here, the back. We have this back is on the back is on this end, and we can go ahead and do the same thing here. I'll come to view, I'll come to navigate, and try to create the bolts. You can see the bolts have been created on that spot, and at the end the bolts have been created, and the bolts have been created here. So that's how you work your way out. So we want to copy this. We want to, because this is a double-sided billboard, so we want to mirror this the other end. So what I'm going to do, I'm going just to double click on empty screen and change this to 180 here to enable make it easy to do a selection and make it 0 there, and click apply. So if I select everything here and press Control and remove out what I don't want to include in my selection, and I want to rotate this. So you can see I've selected the steel frame that will be holding the canvas that has information of the advertiser. So I'll right click and come to interrupt to terminate the active the previously applied command. Then I right click once again and come to special copy. This time round I'm picking linear. So I'll use this center line that cuts across this column as my mirror. So I'll snap here and snap right there and click mirror. So if I click mirror and if I turn that round and check whether everything has been linked properly, let me just click on empty screen and check here. Everything has been brought on this side accurately. So I'll right click and click retro and come to navigate, and I'll be able to turn that round like that. And I have my two-sided advertising billboard steel frame in place. So this is not done yet. We still have a lot to support here. We have to support all these to be dependent on each other to to resist any pressure from the wind or any wind forces. Now let me just turn that around. You can see that. So let's meet then on the next presentation, whereby we will be applying some bracings or supporting these two steel frames that will be holding the canvas that has information from the advertiser and want the audience to uh, have to identify with. So this is how it looks. And let's meet then. This is Morris Gimba, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and bye bye.